Hi guys, it's Crystal. Welcome back to my kitchen. It is Saturday night and I just finished baking up a storm. You can probably guess what I made. I've actually been playing around a lot with the protein sparing recipe. A couple weeks ago, or last weekend I should say, I made some buns and a banana nut loaf that were delicious. I've changed things and tweaked things a bit. This is the banana nut bread egg white protein powder I had bought off Amazon. I'm just showing it. I didn't use it today. I'm just showing you so you can take a look at it. I liked how it had clean ingredients and it was a huge container. It was more cost effective for me to buy this. I wish I could get a big one like this in plain, but I really liked the banana nut bread flavor. Like I said, I ended up making a banana nut loaf. Here is the picture. I don't have any video of it, but this is it cut up. I ended up topping it with like a fat-free Nutella. It was delicious. And then last weekend I also made these hamburger buns, some with sesame seeds, some without. Again, I've tweaked the recipe that I've been using and I will get into it tonight, but I just wanted to show you those photos. So let's get started. I have my no yolking egg white powder. I measure 3 hefty tablespoons into a bowl. I'm gathering all my dry ingredients and I do have the scale out for those of you who like a gram number, but 3 hefty tablespoons of egg white powder works out to be 56 grams, but I'd say anything 55 to 60 grams would be good. So this is a lot like my artisan loaf that I shared way back in the beginning of summer. I've made some tweaks lately, like I've said, so that is what I'm sharing, but a lot is the same. I have a heaping teaspoon of nutritional yeast. And for more of that yeast flavor, I'm adding half a teaspoon of instant yeast, which is not in my original recipe. I'm going to add 2 heaping tablespoons of confectioners Swerve. I don't have allulose, so I just use Swerve. Instead of a full teaspoon, I'm using half a teaspoon of xanthan gum and a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Just giving it a little bit of a mix up before I add the next ingredient, which is totally new. I've been adding a full heaping tablespoon of coconut flour lately. I know it's not traditionally used in Psmf bread, but I've really been enjoying just that 1 tablespoon added to the mixture. Coconut flour does not irritate me. I know some people are bothered by it, but I only react to almond flour. So I add, again, 1 heaping tablespoon, give the dry ingredients a mix, and I put it off to the side. I then went on to separate my 2 eggs. So I wanted the yolks in a separate bowl, and then I added the egg whites directly into my mixing bowl. I ended up using my hand as a strainer because the way the eggshell had cracked. So after the 2 yolks were separated and the egg whites were in the mixing bowl, I added a full cup of egg whites. This is just the Costline Kirkland brand. I added a teaspoon of cream of tartar to my mixing bowl. I am using a mixing bowl and a handheld mixer, just because I'm still having technical difficulties with my stand mixer. That should be sorted out in a week. This is all sped up. I started mixing the cream of tartar and the egg whites. I know the video only shows about 30 seconds, but it was about 6 to 7 minutes. I then spooned in the dry ingredients just to incorporate them. I didn't want to over mix them, and then once it was incorporated, I added the egg yolks. Again, this is all sped up. Once it was combined, I mixed it a bit with my spatula just to make sure I didn't miss anything from the sides, and worked the mixture from the bottom as well. I then poured the mixture into my bread pan. I do have a piece of parchment paper in the bread pan just to prevent the sticking. You can see it doesn't fill this bread pan right high, but then I avoid my bread falling, and it works out to be a good size for me. I've been using this bread pan size and I've been enjoying it. So my oven was preheating at 325. I forgot to say that at the beginning of the video. I set my timer for 35 minutes and then I went right on to mix my next batch with my dirty bowl and all. So this batch was made exactly the same, except I poured the mixture into a large Ziploc bag, and this is so I could pipe out my buns. I piped out the buns into my hamburger bun tray. I do have a link for this tray in my Amazon store. I'll put it in the description of the video. But once I got all the hamburger buns piped out, I should say, I sprinkled some sesame seeds on most of the buns, but I left 3 without. Sometimes I like having a few buns without the sesame seeds on them. And I don't know if you can see off into the corner there, there's a little bit of egg yolk that was left in the bowl that kind of stuck to the bottom. I didn't worry about it. I was going to use it later and I'll show you why. I added the buns into the oven with the bread. The buns don't need as long as the bread. That's why I did the bread first versus the buns. That little bit of yolk there, I ended up adding some egg whites, which I guess I didn't record. Just a splash of egg whites to make an egg wash. And then when the buns were baked for about 10 minutes, I added an egg wash to the top of the bread and the buns. Once the buns were done, I pulled them out. I wasn't worried about them falling like the bread. Shortly after, I shut off the oven and let the bread sit in the oven for an additional 30 minutes. But here you can see the buns look awesome. I let them cool before pulling them out of my tray. So the buns that I had made last weekend, they were made exactly the same, except I didn't do an egg wash or even a butter coat on top like I had in my previous video. I like to add an egg wash. Sometimes I just find it browns them nicely and it prevents them from crusting or getting too flaky. I realize it's cutting towards me. It's a habit. I know I'm not supposed to, but all is well. You can see the texture of the bread is perfect. It's super soft and bread-like. It's not spongy. It's not flaky. It's just right. I've really been liking the addition of the 1 tablespoon of coconut flour. Now that I'm at my goal and just trying to transition more to maintenance mode, I feel I can be a little bit more flexible with my ingredients. And because I don't react to coconut flour, like I said, I've been loving it. Macro-wise, it doesn't add a lot to the recipe either. 1 tablespoon of coconut flour isn't a lot in carbs nor fat. So I just been liking the texture. There's a few more ingredients I want to try playing around with. A couple weeks ago, I was making Maria Emmerich's newer recipe with just the egg white protein powder and the water. I just don't find it to be cost effective because I use so much egg white protein powder and it ain't cheap for me. I don't know if it is for you, but for me it's not. So I've been finding myself drawn back to the original way of doing it. Here is the bread after it has been cooled, or not cooled, after it has been in the oven shut off for 30 minutes. I don't have to worry about the buns staying in the oven with it shut off, but the bread, I just want to make sure it doesn't fall and it holds its shape. It shrunk in on the sides a smidgen there, but not bad at all. And it didn't really drop in height. It's got a really good color and it came off my parchment paper really well. It held its shape really well. It's not a huge loaf, just your standard smaller loaf size. I love cutting these breads with my electric carving knife. It just is literally like a hot knife through butter. It works really well for me. Although I can use my regular bread knife, it works really well too. This is just more uniform and easy. And you can see the texture here. I'll kind of zoom in. It's really bread-like, really soft. It's not spongy. Even when I'm pressing on it, it kind of bounces back. Whereas in my original video in the summer with the artisan loaf, it kind of just got squishy and stayed that way. But yeah, I've really been liking this. I hope you guys enjoy this video. If any of you do try the addition of the coconut flour or even the addition of the instant yeast, let me know. But yeah, I hope you guys liked this video. If you did, don't forget to give the video a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell. I store the bread in a container as well in the fridge, and it is better the next day. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll catch you in the next video. Bye.